What up, Pod Squad? Trying to get a last little sip in there to get some liquid courage, so don't mind me. Welcome back to another edition of the Victorious POD. We have been off for a bit. We had some, we technically had a May episode, but it did not go on the rails, so to speak. So we're back now for an official one that hopefully is going to work out here. We're going to be talking a little bit of rookie reactions, some Dynasty download for those of you that follow in the off season, since there's not a lot of regular season stuff to follow because we're all degenerates that only obsess about football all the time in Dynasty. And we're going to get into a mock draft with some special guest co-hosts joining in as well. But first off, if I didn't mention it before, it's not the Victorious POD anymore. It's the Brotherly Ballers, which we
I was wondering.
I just am in a habit of saying it for so long. It's just, I got to get rid of that. So Brotherly Ballers, if you don't know what that is, it's the artist aka show formerly known as the Victorious POD. We're doing a little bit of rebranding in the off season since we kicked off season 8. It's episode 2. Technically, we'll give ourselves half credit for last time, but we have a new logo soon to come that our graphic design team, aka Tyler, is working on. So we'll just be rebranding to let the people know a little bit more of what we actually are, which is brothers talking about football and fantasy and stuff. So speaking of who, welcome in, Tyler, my co-host. How you doing? What's new?
Oh, we're doing. It looks like you had a little bit more going on than I have. I was like, totally new location for anybody who's watched before, totally different location. And I was like, as soon as he hopped on, I was like, what am I missing here?
Where are you? Yeah, we moved in the past, it's like 3.5 weeks now. Found this house, closed on it in like 2 weeks, and then packed up and listed our house in like 2 weeks and sold that and moved everything. And then also had a 1-year-old birthday party literally this weekend. So that was been chaos. But it forced us to unpack and be done with everything quicker. Otherwise it would have taken 8 months. So it's been a lot, but I think the last 2 days now we've actually been able to sit in our house and be like, oh, we can relax. This is great. So lots going on.
It's nice when it finally gets done. I'm with you. I was like, so we moved down here now about 3 years ago, but we've been in this house now for a year. So we moved like 3 times essentially since we've been here. But we're not going anywhere because we're all done with it now. So I'm 100% with you.
I'm sick of it.
But other than that, not too much new. Biggest thing is like Easton's officially done. I shouldn't say he's officially done with daycare. We did his graduation, so that was awesome. So
that was adorable.
Somehow 5-year-old that goes to kindergarten now here in August. So big change, lots of tears, but it'll be fun. So he's excited.
Yeah, it's scary and amazing all at the same time. Christine is teaching in kindergarten next year, so I told her, I'm like, oh, you're gonna have a bunch of kids Easton's age, and she's like, he's still 2 years old. Stop it. So it's crazy. Yeah. All right. Well, as always, I try to kick things off with a random crazy question or a game or whatever, and I found a new one to try. So as always, we're going to see if it works, and it might go off the rails. But Tyler, I know you're not a big TikTok guy, but there's been a game going around called 20 Words or Less. Have you seen the kids and the youngins playing this? Perfect. Nope. It's kind of like old game show type games with like password or different stuff. But basically, I have 20 words
now you got
less. Me. There's no wheel involved. I'm sorry. I have 20 words or less to use to get you to guess these 8 different items. So I can use 19 words on the first one if I want, and then hope you get the other ones by luck or however distribution. Obviously, you're trying to do less, so that's it. So we'll kick it off and we'll see how it goes, and if we fail or get a score to beat for next time. So I will tell you when we're going to the next one. I'm not going to try to speak in caveman broken speech, but number 1, scrambled.
Eggs.
We're off to a good track. All right. Number 2.
All right.
Conditioner.
Shampoo.
We're great. Okay, we got 2 words. This one I don't know how to do. I'm doing the number. I won't show you because it'll show you, but I'm doing a random word generator. So number 3. Refrigerator.
Freezer?
I should say, you can guess as much as you want. I'm just trying to be creative.
Okay.
Metal force.
Metal force and refrigerator.
I'm going to do bad on this one. I don't know how to.
A metal force refrigerator. Ice maker. I don't have a clue.
It's stick on.
Magnet.
Yes. God, I was trying to go roundabout. I didn't know a good way to do that.
Now. I got you.
Okay, number 4. We're up to 6 words. Escargot.
Snail.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, don't go French, don't go fancy, nothing else. Okay, we're back on track. Number 5, Kleenex.
Tissue.
Okay, I'm going to add a word onto that. Kleenex container. You get it's a two-parter, 2-word thing.
Kleenex container.
You had the first word. There's a second word onto it.
What, a tissue box?
Yeah, that's
okay.
I thought it was only single words and it's 2 words. So, all right, we got 3 to go. I feel fine. I have extras to spend here. So, yellow fruit.
Banana.
I just realized there's more than one yellow fruit. Lime.
Lemon.
Okay.
Lemon.
Fuck. As soon as I said it, I'm like, there's other things. Red.
Apple.
Hexagon.
Stop sign.
Yeah. I was trying to think if it was a hexagon or an octagon. All right. We got 7 words for the final one.
All right. Let's go with in the minimal amount.
Yeah. I've got to set a score to beat for next time.
Right.
Hefty.
Hefty. Fat.
Garbage.
Trash can.
You're half right.
Yeah. Trash bag.
Yeah. I feel like that was cheating, guy, but I'd take it. 15. 15 is our score to beat. So that's
not bad. All right.
Tyler can do it next time because that was excruciating. Lemon really fucked me up.
Well, especially lemon, you're like, yellow fruit. You're like, nailed it. I'm like,
I was already moving on. I
just didn't nail it.
I clicked the next word and was like, got it. Put it in the books. Nope. Okay. Immediately I was like,
there's other yellow things.
Like,
great. There's a much more common yellow fruit.
For a second, I was like, those are vegetables. We're fine. Anyway. Okay. Well, we're going to move on from that game. And I'm sorry for all of you.
That was riveting for 7 minutes.
Yeah. Wasting our time right off the bat. Yeah, check us out on YouTube. We're at 125 subs. So we have our own handle, youtube.com/@thevictoriousPod, which I have to change. Don't worry about any other socials. We're not really active on there. So YouTube, if you give us a comment or a like, that helps us out, though. So we have something to talk about between now and next episode. NFL news-wise, I didn't want to go into a whole lot of in-depth because we could spend all episode talking about the draft and everybody, but we'll just kind of do that as stuff goes along. Everybody's already seen in the last 2 months predictions of what rookies are going to do what. So for now, I just want to be homers and talk about the Vikings for now. So I will rattle off our not very many picks this year and just kind of tell you guys if you don't know who they are, what they play, where they're from. And then we'll just briefly kind of touch on a couple after that. So started out in the first round at number 10, traded up from 11. We took J.J. McCarthy, our QB of the future out of Michigan. We then also surprise traded back up from 23 to 17 to take Dallas Turner, edge rusher from Alabama. Then we had to wait all the way until the third to take Kyrie Jackson, who's a corner out of Oregon, if you guys haven't followed him. And then beyond that, I'll be surprised if you know most of these guys, maybe one of these 4. But 177, Walter Rouse, big-ass tackle from Oklahoma. 203, Will Reichard. I believe I'm saying that right, Mr. College Football. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. The kicker from Alabama, the all-time points leader in college at this point. And 233, Michael Juergens, another big tackle out of Wake Forest. And then 232, Levi Drake Rodriguez, defensive tackle, our third D tackle off the board. We had to wait all the way after the first 100-plus picks. And he is from Texas A&M Commerce. So obviously everybody has opinions on the top 2 guys that were both projected to be roughly top 10 picks. Great that we got them. Obviously going to be likely day 1 starters, but beyond those 2, because it's a given, I will let you go with either one of these options. So either pick one of the other 5 players, if you have any thoughts on them, or B, if you have a concern from this draft class. So maybe not like a player specific, but if you wish we would have gone a different position a little bit heavier, if at all, or if you were worried about number of picks or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really anything too terribly concerning that from the draft. We always seem to come out of the drafts and be like, oh, we should have done this, we should have done that. I really didn't mind what we did. I like that we didn't trade up further to get JJ. I like that we did trade up from 23 to 17 to get Dallas Turner, who was a consensus like top 10 pick, but just had some off the field stuff. So that could really work out dropping for us. But I liked that our next pick that we did get, we did go corner. So if either of at 17 or 23, I was potentially hoping we went defensive at some point. So I was happy with either edge or corner. But with Dallas Turner falling, I'm glad we went with him instead of one of the top corners. So for us to then address our big cornerback need in the third round at 108, I think that was what I like to see. We didn't just go elsewhere. We didn't go another D-line or edge or anything like that. So our corners are still going to be suspect this year, in my opinion. But I'm glad we at least tried to address it as quickly as we could after getting what I thought were 2 nice picks at the top.
Yeah, just to echo that a little bit briefly, I feel like corner is one of the only positions that you can always take, even if you feel good at that position, just because it's so nice to have slot guys or a third corner or just whoever to keep kind of rotating people in. It's a very tough spot to play. So Kerry Jackson, I know he's physical. Everyone talked about he had pretty good ball skills too. So as far as like pass deflections or picking it off, he's pretty good with that. Obviously, he's a little bit more unproven coming in so far. He's a little older, so I think that's maybe why he slipped. I think he's going to be 25 when the season starts. So I think people are talking of that's why he wasn't like one of those top end guys. But at the same time, we get a guy basically on his full rookie deal in more of a prime versus like this young 22-year-old still growing into his body and everything, fighting men like DK Metcalf and stuff like that. So I think he could be very, very interesting. Beyond him, I mean, there's a lot of other probably depth players at this point. I know that Rouse, the tackle out of Oklahoma, he played like every single game for the final 3 years. I think he was 52 games that he started at left tackle for, Oklahoma, who's not a small or bad school. So I don't know that we're going to necessarily need him at left tackle, but it's nice having that versatility where they talked about he could kind of shift around or be our 6th best lineman, like once he gets some snaps in and everything. Thought it was nice getting a kicker. So it's always good just because our past couple of kickers now have really been like, yeah, they're fine, but they're not good enough. So like, I'd rather take a late day 3 shot on somebody that maybe continues to have that success in the NFL level. So yeah, I won't say too much about anybody else, but I like for what we did. It was the first time, like you said, where usually I'm used to us being like, yay, we technically got better value, but we traded back and nothing's exciting. This was the first time where I'm like, yes, this is great. Let's go do things. I don't give a shit about some of those round 3, round 4 picks. Like, go get the guys you want that are difference makers. So
correct. Yep.
That's very exciting to me. All right. Going into general fantasy talk really quickly. I said we weren't going to talk about all the rookie landing spots and everything, just briefly to cover how we did last time. Because for those of you that followed an episode and a half ago, we predicted who each rookie was going to end up with. So both got Caleb Williams to the Bears right. That was pretty consensus. Both got JJ to the Vikings right. I think we didn't expect to maybe get him at 10-11. I was very surprised when we didn't move up because I thought, crap, this is going to fall right into the Giants' lap, and then they didn't go that way, and nobody else traded above us. So it worked out. I would never have guessed that. But then we also both got Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Cardinals. Seemed like a pretty consensus one, and then Malik Neighbors to the Giants. Tyler and I basically just flip-flopped opposite on Jaden Daniels and Drake May, so I was kind of a 50-50 at that point. And then I got Odunze to the Bears, which was more chalk. I think, Tyler, you might have gone Jets or...
Yeah, I think I was there. Like, we're just going to try non-chalk, otherwise we're going to have all the exact same picks. Because really in the top, 9, it didn't go out. I mean, it went exactly like everybody thought, really, for the most part. Beyond the like Michael Penix and whatnot, like nobody on the planet saw that coming. But all the big position players and skill players and whatnot seem to land exactly where we're expected, which is for whatever reason not usually what you see. But it was fun. Interesting landing spots for some rookies.
Speaking of interesting and fun stuff, neither of us were even close on any of the running back picks because that every year is just random. It's like, this is a clear team that needs a running back, and then they don't take one at all. And then this is a team that has 3 running backs in their depth chart, and they're like, you know what, we'll take the top one. Like, it just... never ever makes sense. And Brock Bowers, nobody saw going to the Raiders also. So
true.
All right. So just to cover a little bit about rookie stuff, again, we won't go into like what every single one is, but if you had to have like a hot take, not just I think, Caleb Williams will do well in the Bears, but like if you had to go like spicy that maybe not everybody's consensus saying fantasy wise, do you have a rookie that you have a thought on?
It doesn't seem like it because I obviously we'll get to it. I traded away the pick ultimately, but I think Malik Neighbors is going to be ridiculous. I think he's going to be great. I think the hardest thing obviously is the Giants landing spot. If he landed with any other team, like there'd be arguments for him to be up there with the Marvin Harrison Jr. going at like wide receiver 10, which is psychotic in my opinion, but I know you'll get to that. But his ADP right now in half PPR is like wide receiver 26 or something like that. And I will not be surprised if we see him push for like top 14. I just think the volume is going to be so crazy. They're going to be behind so much. His skill set is crazy. I'll watch us see like a reminiscent OBJ, also from LSU, type of rookie year from Malik Neighbors.
That is definitely spicy. It's not a knock on Neighbors for me. I just don't trust Daniel Jones, and I'm so gun shy about that now that I don't know. I think if I was taking it, like maybe if you slipped a little bit and I was taking him like wide receiver 30 where it was already kind of that like flex range or like taking a shot on like a first bench guy, I love that for the upside, but I'm scared. So yeah, I totally get it. Speaking of another highly drafted and touted rookie wide receiver, this is not a knock on Marvin Harrison Jr. I know I made some waves last year with the whole Bijan hot take thing. So apparently I'm just saying fuck you to the 101s each year. But as far as I was looking at ADP for some of the rookies like you talked about, like Malik Neighbors going 26. I feel like that's about right where, worst landing spot, but like potential. Like I don't hate that. I looked today, Marvin Harrison Jr. right now, ADP wise is wide receiver 11. I'm sorry, he's 11 overall. He's 11, not just wide receiver 11. He is 11 in PPR, according to Fantasy Pros, wherever you use.
That's psycho.
Don't at me
if you're using I got him 16.
One.
Yeah, I got him 16, wide receiver 10, but that's crazy still.
Yeah, so we're talking end of the first, beginning of the second, and that seems asinine to me. I get it a little bit more in PPR, but I think in standard he was like 19 when I looked at Fantasy Pros. And then I was like, okay, if he's like 17, 18, around that, still fine. But like we're talking end of the first. And if you're going like, I get it with a running back coming in, like a top end running back going to a great position, but like receiver, it takes a little bit more sometimes. And also it just isn't as volume heavy. Like there's other guys on the team. So long story short, to put a bow on it, I like two other of his teammates as receiving options at their costs or like draft value much more than him this year. It's not to say that I don't think he's still going to be the one and that he still won't probably end up finishing well because I think he's going to get a lot of volume. But Trey McBride is ADP 46 overall right now. And as a tight end, I think he's like my favorite target this year. I think he's going to be a monster. I love him after the first 3 or so guys go. And then Michael Wilson, I expected him to be low because he's not going to be like a fantasy starter week in and week out, but he's going at 168. And people forget, I think, that he was a rookie last year too. So like he has room to grow. Like they're expecting him to take a step forward this year and even next year. And half the year that he played last year was missing Kyler when Kyler was hurt before he came back too. So I think them getting more chemistry and everything, like I'm not calling Michael Wilson to outperform Marvin Harrison. Like I was saying that Algier would be closer to Bijan last year, but I do think that like starting out the first 3 to 4 weeks, people will be surprised that he puts up like flex worthy numbers even. And I think easily will end up being whatever that wide receiver number converts to for ADP 168 overall. I think he will easily be ahead of that just because there's nobody else there with Hollywood gone too. So long story short. All right.
Never with us.
I know. I will make sure to keep it shorter to this one because I'm not going to talk about every one of these trades as much as I love some jack of all trades stuff. But going into a little bit more Dynasty download segment, we are recapping any of the major trades since our last episode, which includes 4 that we tried to talk about on a previous episode, but it didn't work out. So for the record, we had a ton of different like onesie twosie little trades during our slow draft for Dynasty, which was all like second, third, and fourth round picks and future picks and whatever swap. I excluded pretty much any that weren't also at least with like at least like flex level player and or a first or a future first. So if it was just like my second for your second and third next year, I don't care. So I will rattle off what these are. I guess, Tyler, just like stop me if you have a note on any of them, or even if you just want to be like 60-40 person A who wins, and then leave it at that. First one was a while back in the offseason, but Jordan got Terry McLaurin for Nate getting Raheem Mostert in the 310.
Yeah, give me McLaurin, 100% on that one. Mostert's old, and a third round rookie pick doesn't do much for me. Yeah,
with both of them being like mid playoff / contender teams that they have the last couple of years, I think McLaurin just basically you're getting more time out of him. Mostert's good for like a win now type of thing, so I get it. But yeah, I'm like 70% McLaurin side. Number two, you're biased, so I'll weigh in on this one first. But Tyler got Cooper Kupp and Justin Herbert in the 210 for Glick getting AJ Brown in the 202. I'm so angry because you were supposed to send him to me, so I give you 0%.
I deserve 0%. I hate this trade after the fact now because, again, just for context, this all came out before the whole change of Chargers regime, the entire change of the regime in every way, shape, and form, and all the weapons being gone. So it's a horrible trade for me already. I love Justin Herbert, and I wanted to make sure that I had him in some way, but this wasn't great.
I think it's better than it feels right now, just dynasty-wise. I think everybody's way down on Herbert and like not even having him as a QB1 rank. And I think the dude still has crazy talent, and he'll find a way. And even if it sucks for this year, I think they will go and get another weapon or two in the draft or in free agency next year. So I don't think it's like Herbert's going to all of a sudden plummet. So I think out in dynasty leagues, I would maybe be trying to trade for him if you were like a rebuilder or a not current contender, because I think he will be way higher in value in like 1 to 2 years. But yeah, I think AJ Brown. Go ahead.
Nope, you're good.
Obviously, AJ Brown is like the best on the team here, and I think Kupp just with the age is tougher. The twos don't mean a whole lot for me, so like I get it from a QB need standpoint because that was your big weakness, and then it just kind of got unlucky. It was all.
Yeah. What can you do? Hey, Brandon Ayuk, if you're really actually sad in San Francisco, if you want to come over and catch passes from my boy Herbert, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
We would not bond over anything more because that would be the best thing in the world to me. And ironically, you could get an Ayuk jersey, and then I would have Herbert, and we would have each other's opposite. That is true. Next one, I'll let you do yours because I'm abstaining. But I got Devon Achane from Foster for the 105, which I'll just leave. I don't want to say who they took. I just want to do what the value was at the time.
Well, it wasn't technically on the clock. I couldn't remember because
there was like a week before. This was like a week before.
Gotcha. It's a tough one for me because I get the Achane hype. I really do. But I'm not entirely sold. I want to be sold because I love him. And I actually just traded him away in another league, and it's not on there, but not on here. But if we want to talk about it, so I just don't. With him already being so injured in his rookie year, I don't. Are they ever going to let him be a bell cow? But at the same time, is he better than whoever Foster got at 105, which is like a Xavier Worthy or Brian Thomas, essentially what that's going in rookie drafts? It's really just essentially, are you betting on a running back in Dynasty or are you betting on a wide receiver in Dynasty for that tenure? And that's a hard one because Mike McDaniels and with what he's done with running backs in Miami has been awesome. But I don't know that he's ever just going to be like, hey, here's the keys to everything. You get 20 touches a game. I just don't know that he can withstand that kind. So it's very 50-50 to me. Okay. I think contextually wise team, it was very even. But when it comes to Dynasty, I usually just bet on the receiver.
I do agree with all of that. Pretty much everything you said. I will say it is less a bet on Achane for me and more a bet on Mostert has one goddamn season of staying healthy in his career, and I'm banking on that because they might not have a choice. If Mostert goes down, for a handful of games here and there, 2, 3, 4, half a season, a full season like he's accustomed to doing, they're going to have to give the keys to Achane mostly by default. And I'm sure they'll work in their, 4th or 5th round rookie that they took too.
Jalen Wright.
Thank you. Yes. I'm sure they will work in other guys. I don't think he's ever going to be the 300 touch type of guy, but like even, getting his like 4 to 5 passes a game plus, 10 to 12 touches. We saw him in that Broncos game. Like that's enough. So
he's a game breaker.
He for me is, and ironic because I also have Tyreek Hill, and it's easy to say because they're on the same team, but he for me is very much the Tyreek of the running back world, where it's like you're not putting him in because you're like going to get super consistent games. You're putting him in because he's going to win a week when he goes off for you, like where it doesn't matter what anybody else does. And so I think for me, with a more top heavy roster, it makes sense if I can slide him in as luckily a flex if I have 2 other running back options, because I'm just like, if he only gets 7, 8, okay, whatever. He's not going to ever get 0 if he's healthy, but the 1 week he goes off, I'm going to go, it doesn't matter what you did. So that for me works out. I don't know that I'm in love with Achane. I'm not targeting him in redrafts by any means, but I think once the NFL draft fell where it did, I was looking to move the 105 pretty much for anybody that I could justify starting, just because I felt like after the first 3 receivers, I don't care. I don't need Bowers personally. And I don't know that I feel good enough about a running back rookie wise, where I was like, I probably would have taken Brooks if I was at the 105. And I was like, let me convert Brooks into a guaranteed guy. Well, not guaranteed, a guy who has proven it so far is how I looked at it. So just was kind of like a draft trade-off type of thing for me. And Foster was more of like, I don't trust him either, so you take him.
Yep.
Anyway,
fair enough.
Next one. Nate traded the 205 and the 411 to Mac for Austin Eckler, the 310 and the 408. So we can basically cancel out the 4s. So it's basically Eckler and the 310 for the 205. Yeah.
Don't care.
It
Don't
makes
care
sense for Mac
at all.
He's loading up on all those old running backs. He's got the Derrick Henrys, Josh Jacobs, CMC. So he's just going all for it now. I think it doesn't really, like, the 205 is not going to help Nate, so I think it's irrelevant mostly for both, but I would easily give up a mid-2 for a shot on Eckler just because he has been so good in the past. So if you're a contender, next 2, Tyler was involved in. So Jordan traded for the 102 and a 2025 third in exchange for Tyler getting Pacheco, a 25 first, and a 26 first.
Yeah, this one was really interesting to me. It's because really I kind of started this off and I was like, I need a running back. And by the time I got done with the draft, I had too many running backs. Like I traded so many things, and we'll get to it in a second. And so again, this is no hate on Neighbors at all, but I was like, I really needed a running back, and he was going to give me 2 more firsts for essentially Malik Neighbors. I couldn't really pass it up.
Yeah, I like it for you in terms of value, especially since I know once he went to the Giants, you were like, I don't know what to do. Jordan, I think, was trying to move Pacheco for a good part of the offseason, so I know he wasn't minding moving that. I think he was part of him was just like, I haven't really gotten to make any splashes in the draft the last 2 years, and I want to go get like a top guy and have fun with that. So part of it, I get that too, because I do the same thing. I also get it from Jordan's perspective because, like, it looks like a lot for just Neighbors, but then also he's banking on probably being top half in the next 2 years, I would assume. So it's not a ton to give up for like him thinking I'm never going to draft at the 102 anytime soon. So I don't hate it for both sides. I think it kind of makes sense roster wise. I would go probably 60-40 him just for the potential of Neighbors, but I'm scared. So
yeah, I think that, it's totally fair.
And then the ultimate last one that we needed a third person on because we're going to be biased. But I think we've both changed our views multiple times during this. But long story short, this was on the clock. It was literally, I was on the clock at the 108 and made a draft day trade of me trading for Brandon Ayuk, sending Tyler Javonte Williams on the 108, who, for the record, turned into Ladd McConkey, which I'm pretty sure both of us would have taken there. But the 108 is the 108. So thoughts now or at the time, or if that changed at all?
Yeah, I mean, I still don't hate it. I mean, obviously you never like giving up Ayuk. I'm a Javonte stans. I'm a UNC guy. I live in North Carolina. I live in North Carolina. I mean, it was always going to be there. And again, with me having already traded for Herbert earlier, I was like, I'm going to get Herbert's number 1 option in a PPR league. So I just kind of went with it, and I enjoy that stack. I wanted Javonte. I love Ayuk. I will never say that. I absolutely love him. So it's hard to trade him away, but I had gotten him from Jordan earlier or the previous year for like Nick Chubb, essentially straight up as well. So I now have a lot of picks and I can start filling back out that wide receiver depth. And I think I've got 3 first rounders next year in what's a decent wide receiver class and a phenomenal running back class. So I can turn these and flip these picks now that I have running backs already established for people to want to come up and get running backs, because it's very hard to do in these dynasty drafts. So if I can turn these and flip these into serviceable wide receivers in the first round, I got a great opportunity, and I can still keep one of those for myself. So
yeah, I was looking for another, like, basically upgrade the wide receiver 2/flex, whichever way you want to put it, because having CD was great, and I was like, but I've got the Diggs and Tyreeks who are older, and like they'll work for now, but I don't know what's going to happen in a year or two when they fall off. So getting Ayuk, who's kind of on that like borderline wide receiver 1 dynasty ranking, was very, very nice. Of course, in the last 2 days, I've been sending Tyler the reports of him being like, the team doesn't want me and I'm gone. And I'm like, oh God, like, please don't end up in, somewhere horrible.
You're gonna end up in New England.
I was just going to say New England is going to be.
He's going to the Patriots.
Or people have been talking about the Steelers for the longest time too. They were in on him a year ago.
I have heard that too.
So like both of those make me go, what? But then there's also there's the chalk pick of the Chargers, who also were the chalk pick for like taking a wide receiver in the first top 10 picks, and they didn't do that. So I'm very scared. I think if you were giving me my choice, I would just stay with the known of the 49ers versus the chance he could go to a great fit, because it's more likely he'll go into a stupid fit where everyone's like, I never saw that coming. So it could end up changing the value a ton. But for me, I think Javonte was that guy that I traded for 2 seasons ago, I guess, on the cheap for the potential, but then I haven't gotten to use him in the last 2 years.
Don't say you guess.
Yeah, but I haven't really.
You got him for like a second rounder.
And something else. But yeah, but he has done nothing for my team. Like, I haven't been able to use him because he hasn't really been healthy.
Your team is ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, the first year I traded for him, he literally was on the IR. And then this last year, he was just kind of half getting the work, but it was freaking P. Ryan and other people and whatever. And then the 108, same thing. Back. I was like, I'm excited to take Ladd because I like him the most. But also, again, I was looking at my team and I'm like, I've got 3 to 4 other receivers I feel good enough about. So barring him breaking into the top 20, is McConkey going to do much for me? I will take the proven guy instead and hope it works out. So, yeah. Hopefully there's some more picks or trades that happen soon. I've been trying to make some more work just because I'm bored, but people don't always answer. So moving in really quick to our last segment before we get to our co-hosts that are patiently waiting. Unique leagues. We don't have a lot to cover because most of them are in season, but we do have one that I'm going to let Tyler cover because this is kind of his bread and butter. So.
Yeah, so I'm going to pull this up. So for those that haven't seen it, and Jack, let me know when you can see it.
Yep.
Okay. So what this is called the FFCP. So it's the Fantasy Football Pro Championships, essentially. So Fantasy Pros, for those that do it, they have their own site. It's kind of a, I guess, big money league for lack of a better word. But I played it in last year. I'd heard about it a couple years ago, and I played it last year for the first time. And it's a pretty decent buy-in, but it did well enough that essentially what it comes down to is it's 12-team leagues, and you just do kind of your own silo side league, and then the top handfuls of individuals move on to a playoff, and then you go into a final 3-week race, essentially, and weeks 14, 15, 16, 15, 16, 17, whatever it is, combine those 3 scores, and then that's whoever has the most points after those 3 weeks get the big prize pools. So it is an ultimate, like, 20,000 person entry, but you just do individual 12-person leagues. So last year I took first in my league, so then I got a free entry into this year, and then did pretty well in the prizes portion, so I got some money from that as well. So I got a free entry this year, and so I said, hey Jack, this was really fun. Want to do a co-one with me so we can talk about it on the pod throughout the year and see how we did. So we got our randomized order, and over the last essentially month, essentially it's a slow draft, so it wasn't all at one time. So a slow draft, and we're good to go. So this is where we landed. So we're the brotherly ballers. We got the 3 pick. So just running quickly through, it's a 1 QB. I think it's 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 2 flex, tight end, and it's tight end premium. And so what that means for anybody that doesn't know, it's a normal full PPR, but then a tight end gets 1.5 points per reception. So it kind of elevates those tight ends to some of the upper echelon, at least makes them a little more relevant in full PPR leagues. So you wouldn't notice it by looking at our draft. We said screw those tight ends, but it's a tight end premium league.
It was in consideration several times, and
Many times.
You'll see if you can see the grayed out parts. But in our second and third round picks, literally right before us was the guy we were going to take. So then after that happened, and we kind of missed the first, what was that, 4 or 5? We basically just said fuck it and just punted it to load up everywhere else. So I guess starting out just really quickly, like we can, without like specifically saying one at a time, but like overall on the team, how do you feel like it turned out for the format? Like, how do you think the slow draft went? How do you think the co-drafting went? I don't know if you've done that with other people before, but
no, I've never co-drafted with anybody, so I thought it was. I enjoyed it. It was good to be able to bounce ideas off because I think we all get so set in our ways and so set on people, and we get scorned by individual players. What best strategies are. So sometimes it's nice to just bounce ideas off of somebody and say, "Hey, let somebody else look forward to say, hey, what does ADP look like 3 rounds from now?" Because maybe you're not even thinking about that. So it's nice to just be able to kind of bounce it off somebody, and especially in a league like this where you have 6 hours per pick. So you have time to sit and think about it. It's not 30-second, 45-second, 60-second picks. So I think that was fun to be able to talk strategy and what we did. And so in these leagues, we were like, hey, full PPR leagues, we just want target monsters all the way through and through. So that's what led us to our first 3 picks, CD, Olave, Mike Evans. It doesn't get much more target heavy than that. And then we're like, hey, let's find targeted running backs after that to kind of fill it out. Kamara, James Cook, James Conner, all 3 studs. Terry McLaurin, like through your first 7 rounds, you've got wide receiver 1s and RB 1s on all of these, and they kind of filled it out from there. So it was, we were sad to miss, as we saw on Trey McBride coming back. That would have certainly been our pick if he was there. Then Mark Andrews, 1 pick before us as well. So it was hard to miss on the tight ends and a tight end premium, but I feel like our depth at wide receiver and running back is incredible, and so all we need to do is Freiermuth be relatively good, and I think we're in a great spot compared to some of these other teams.
Yeah, he's definitely our make or break. We took 3 tight ends, whereas a lot of teams took 2 just because we were like the last ones to take a tight end. So we're just, I mean, not that Gesicki or Sanders, the rookie in Carolina, are likely going to do anything, but it was just more of like a, hey, you know what, if Freiermuth we're totally off on and he bombs, at least we can try to have some other spots. So, but yeah, that being said, like with it being a 2 flex, I think that influenced me and probably both of us more into being okay loading up on the running backs and wide receivers. Like if it was just 1, I get it, but like every single one of those guys could be starting. I guess Terry would be like the first backup, but he's better than anyone else's first bench guy that they're going to play. So like you said, having literally the number 1s on each of their teams. And then I was nervous going wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. Cause I was like, oh man, I get it's PPR, but like, granted, at each of those picks, there weren't any running backs that we were like truly in love with versus what we thought we could get. But I was also like, I can see this working out badly and missing out. And the fact that we ended up with those 3, Kamara, Cook, and James Conner, who I would be very fine with as my even running back 2s in most leagues. Like James Conner is still somehow undervalued, and he's the only guy that's getting work as long as he stays healthy. And then Kamara and Cook both are, I mean, Cook was a running back 1 last year, and Kamara's a monster in PPR. So like, I feel like we ended up with a pretty solid running back room without having that, like while having that issue of not going running back early. So Pollard, Rico Dowdle, like Zeke went before him, and like Dowdle, it's still a world where he's just better than Zeke, who's old as hell now and doesn't have it anymore. Like just because he's in Dallas doesn't mean that he's going to be what he was. And then same thing with quarterback. We kind of kept playing that game of like, ooh, maybe we'll go Anthony Richardson. Like, ooh, what if, you know, Kyler falls? He was kind of our target in like that 7th round ish range, and it didn't work out there. We talked about Dak Prescott pairing with CD just for the stack of being amazing last year. But then we kept looking, we were like, there's so many good quarterbacks later that like, why do we need one? So we talked about Herbert before in the episode. Like he was going like QB like 16 or something or 17. And we were like, we can just take him and be fine. But Purdy kind of slipped to us and felt like more of that back end 1 with all the playmakers there. And then Goff as a back-to-back, I felt really good about how our quarterbacks ended up there. Even like we talked about Michael Wilson as one of my favorites before. We got him late just as kind of like a dart throw. And then Adam Thielen, a safe, not exciting pick. I mean, there's no guarantee Deontay comes in and takes all the work from him. So him and Romeo Doubs, I don't hate it as like late dart throw guys that could literally or legitimately work out. So very surprised how the team ended up. It's truly going to come down to, I haven't done a lot of tight end premium leagues, so it's going to come down to like maybe I'm underestimating how big that gap's going to be, but other teams might not have the quarterback, running back, and wide receiver rooms that we have either. So feel very good.
Yeah, not bad. It was a fun one. So we'll keep you guys updated, kind of week in, week out. It's really at this point just kind of a normal standard league. So top 4 individuals make kind of a 2-week playoff essentially in weeks 13 and 14, and then the top 2 from that get into kind of the final big playoff for the actual big money. But if we take first or second in the regular season, we get an automatic berth into that, and then the regular season playoff is just for some additional money and good stuff. So yeah, we're obviously shooting for first or second, but if as long as we make top 4, we get in that playoff to be able to keep an eye on some of the big money. So we'll keep you guys updated, but it was fun to do that, and it'll be one of the unique leagues we can pay attention to.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. All right, now, rounding things out finally, we are going to do a little mini mock draft. We've done no prep for it, but Tyler and I are going to be in this. We also have 2 of our league mates in our Dynasty League, Glick and Nick, they rhyme, that are going to be joining us too. We randomized the picks just a few minutes ago while we were chatting. Glick's going to be at 3, Tyler's going to be at 5, Nick is at 7, and I'm at 10, so it kind of worked out, spaced out. Real quickly, this is a 1 quarterback, no tight end premium, but full PPR, 2 running back, 2 receiver, 2 flex. I took out the defenses and kickers because the computers are stupid and they'll take them way early and it affects values and stuff. So, and we're going to only do like 4 bench spots. So Glick and Nick will not be online talking picks, but at least it gives a little bit more of a human element and people stealing from us. So we'll let them pick normally. And then Tyler and I will just pause like on our picks to either give like a quick thought on one of their picks or just like quick talking through what we're thinking, but we'll keep it short on ours too. So here we go. You can follow along here, so I won't read them off if you're on YouTube, but Glick is on the board with Tyreek and McCaffrey off instantly. A little weird seeing Tyreek go 101 auto in the computer draft, but I would assume Glick will probably go CD. Yeah, he does. Breece Hall next. So Tyler's on the board.
Yeah, here, I mean, at this point, if we're doing a full PPR, I mean, I would love to take Bijan. I think he's got a path where he could be one of those a top. He could finish as the top running back, especially if they're finishing the way that, or if they're going to get him involved the way that they say they're going to get him involved. But for me, it's a toss up between JJ, Jamar, and Bijan, and just because it's part of the logo, and I'm going to take Bijan just because I want to see what happens.
No Amon-Ra consideration. I'm surprised. I'd have been tempted on him over JJ with the quarterback change.
Yeah, I get it. But
Nick will go with JJ because he's a homer too. I'm feeling it. I'm going to try to predict who they're taking. But if I were here, I would be very tempted to go Amon-Ra over JJ just with the changing in the offenses currently and how good he looked. AJ Brown and Puka aren't really a consideration for me, so it's just one of those 2 at this point. See? Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, JJ almost slipped to me. Nick went Amon-Ra, Puka goes, which I'm not touching in the mid to late first round, and then JJ at 109 is crazy. Side note, I'll try to keep it within 60 seconds for ours, but if you need to pause, just tell me. For me, it's between AJ Brown, Gibbs, not really looking at Garrett Wilson. Jonathan Taylor I like, but I'm okay with running backs coming back. I'm pretty close on AJ Brown and Gibbs. I think based on this, I like a few more of the receivers coming back. So just playing the draft, I would probably go Gibbs here. I don't like seeing a questionable next to his name, but I don't leave that early on. And just for the chance to complete the actual logo together, I'm going to go Gibbs with your Bijan. So
that is true. That's right. I forgot about that.
I can't pass that up. So circles back, AJ Brown, Jonathan Taylor, Garrett Wilson, and Kyron Williams. Mostly who I would have expected. I literally just bashed on him, and yet now Marvin Harrison is the next on the ADP list. So technically, he's
You're not going Marvin Harrison.
I know. Technically, he's what they say. I would go Saquon over him because I went Gibbs. Yeah. I am less inclined to go Saquon, and I feel okay about that because Saquon is my one. I've been burned by him a few times in redraft leagues before. So There's Devontae Adams, Drake London, Chris Olave, and Brandon Ayuk. I am big on Chris Olave this year. I like him a lot. But Devontae Adams is also one that I feel like is for some reason getting knocked a little bit in value, and I don't know that he should. So in full PPR, which this draft is, I am going to go him over Olave, but it would be in that order, and then probably Ayuk, depending on landing spot, and then Drake London.
I agree.
So Ayuk. Oh, I talked about Marvin Harrison. I forgot about him. But Ayuk and then Marvin Harrison go. Nick's back up with Saquon if he wants to go one of each, or London Olave, Laporta, Josh Allen. He can kind of go anywhere he wants here. Mm-hmm. Where do you think he will go?
My guess, I won't be surprised if he went Saquon or Olave.
Oh, yeah, Olave. Whoa. All right. You got the chance to take Saquon
this
at
is
the
interesting.
208.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Or get one of your
obviously
onesie
makes
positions.
me rethink. Yeah, it makes. Nah, I was like, as much as I would love to, it's too early for one of the onesies for me. I mean, as great as Laporta is, I could never take him this early in my opinion.
I agree.
It's crazy to see all the running backs here.
Yeah.
And then the next drop down is to Diggs and Nico. This is so many running backs here. In a home league, I feel like more of these running backs will have gone.
13 of 19.
For me, I wouldn't be able to drop down. I couldn't justify dropping down here to like Diggs, Nico, Mike Evans range over somebody like Saquon, ETN.
Yeah.
So for me, I guess I just fill it up in a full PPR and go value.
You and Nick are opposites, 2 running backs and 2 receivers. I'm in the middle. We'll see if Glick also goes one of each here, or he might be the Laporta guy. We'll see. But with Tyler going Saquon and Josh Allen goes, I feel like I would. I'm not sold on ETN, but I like him over Achane. Josh Jacobs, I guess, is going to be more of a volume guy. Do you have ETN or Jacobs? Who would you go of the two?
I would go ETN.
Okay. I'm very split. I feel like those are 2 like late second guys that I don't want to have as my choice. I'm hoping I have another one, but
yeah.
Okay, so he goes ETN. So it's basically we've got a little bit of everything. He and I are each 1 and 1. You guys are 2 or 2.
Yep.
Laporta goes. Thankfully, Achane and Jacobs both go, so he doesn't get to double dip on that. And then Diggs. So now he's got Nico, some older receivers, or an old running back. Again, it is full PPR. If it's anything less than that, I really like Derrick Henry. But
yeah, I could see him going. I could see him going T Kelsey there for sure.
Yeah.
I honestly, I might have if I would have there.
I already know what you're going. Don't even.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, I'm going with my boy.
He goes Devo and then Kelsey goes. But yeah, if you want to.
Yeah, he goes Devo, and then I just put Mike Evans on my team every day and twice on Sunday.
Doesn't even want to use the clock. Look at him.
What clock? There's no clock.
If you want to talk about stuff. Ooh, Derrick Henry goes, I like that because I didn't want Nick, who has no running backs, to get him. I think Derrick Henry in the mid-third is very good value, even in PPR, because he's the only guy there. So it's the scariness of whether he stays healthy. But I think if he does, he's a guarantee to be return on that value. The next few are all receivers. So unless he reaches down for Pacheco or just goes quarterback out of necessity, I feel like he has to take a third receiver here.
Yep.
And he does. Waddle, Nico, DJ. Okay. Well, all the receivers
I will
go.
be very curious to see if you go a onesie here.
That's the problem is I feel like after the few mocks we've done, I see how many quarterbacks are late. So I feel like I've like ingrained myself into knowing that they're going to be there. Of the ones here,
you can get a stud through round like 9.
Right. If I was picking one, but I think it's closer in a conversation between Hurts and Lamar than maybe people are thinking right now. I would go one of them over Mahomes just for the rushing. But there's the Malik home run swing we talked about. There's Michael Pittman, who I've always liked as an actual player. I think oh God, do I play the gamble here? I am not going quarterback. I think I am going to go Michael Pittman just because he's my guy and he's the only one for Anthony Richardson. Please. Yes, it worked. Okay. Could still go quarterback here, but I'm finally going with,
he's going Trey.
That was my plan. And I looked at Kupp was still on the board too. And the idea of having Devontae and Kupp and Pittman is all pretty interesting too.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
I also love James Cook and Joe Mixon. So if I wanted to get my second running back here, I could easily go one of them. God, is Trey McBride enough of a difference for me at tight end versus what I can get later? It's not tight end premium, so I think I'm maybe just like used to that with our other draft. Can I figure out tight end later on to justify going one of them? Man, that is a thinker, isn't it? Because it's full PPR, am going to go Kupp as my wide receiver 3 and see how that looks. Because I think the volume of him and Devontae with Pittman is kind of Pittman was the guy that was getting 10 catches a game last year on that streak. Like all 3 of those could be crazy for volume. So
crazy.
Don't know if I'll do that in real life, but that's what I went with. Lamar goes next. Hurts went before me. Devontae Smith was after him. So McBride is still sitting there, which
these guys are going all in on receivers.
That's the thing is I feel like I'm not trying to, but I'm doing it because I like the value and so many receivers are going. It is full PPR. It is 2 flex. I get it. Insane. But Team 8 over here and maybe even Nick is going to be 4 receiver deep after 4 rounds.
That's what I mean. So. This is insane.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4. He finally goes. Okay, he goes James Cook. I like that pick there.
Ooh, interesting. For me to go either McBride or Metcalf over here.
Oh, that's tough too because I like Metcalf.
It is tough, and I'm going to go Metcalf simply because with the 3 tight ends that are left there, Trey, Mark Andrews, and Kincaid, 2 people ahead of me have already drafted tight ends, so that essentially guarantees that one of them quite likely comes back to me. And if not, and I can still get like a Kincaid, there's 3 right there. I think that's exactly where it is. And for me, it would just be a decent tier drop off from DK down to like Tank and Zay. Yeah. So I think 100% with my team context, I would have to go DK there.
I don't trust either of those 2 rookies. So I like that much better. Glick, I feel like is going to end up with his favorite out of McBride or Andrews here, if I assume. But there you go. He has Andrews over McBride. I don't hate that. I think it's
I don't either. Yeah.
Safe solidness versus an upside breakout kind of thing. And he instant picks Kamara. I thought that's who you were going to go with if you didn't get the tight end.
It would have been. Yeah, it would have been. So
he wasted
in coming in here, I think in coming into this and just with the volume that comes along with it, I mean, I feel like I got to go Trey. Tank, I don't mind Tank here either. I mean, if I didn't have Bijan, I could see a world of Kyle Pitts. I've also considered Anthony Richardson here at 5. But again, just like we've talked about, I feel like there's so many QBs. But I don't hate it. Again, just that dual threat. He's the kind of guy that, again, can just absolutely win you a week. If I didn't have Bijan and Saquon, needed to round out running back, James Conner would be amazing here right now. So Trey, really consideration for me would be Trey and Tank. I'm not a big T. Higgins guy. I've never really been. But I love me some Trey. So
I almost took him at the 403, and you got him at what 5? 5. Yeah. So Tank goes right after you, like you said. Nick, I assume, is going running back here, but he may be tempted by one of the 2 tight ends or Anthony Richardson.
Could be.
I don't know.
Could be.
He has to reach a little bit for
Richardson.
Has to reach a little bit for running back, and I really hope he doesn't because he's not listening live, so it's fine.
Yep, like we said, I knew he loved Anthony Richardson, so I'm not surprised there. And then that drops James Conner to you, which is unfortunate for all involved.
We've done this enough to know exactly who each other's guys are so far. So, for me personally, I'm not interested in Kincaid or Kittle. I probably won't take Kittle no matter what. If Kincaid slips back after the next 2, potentially. But the fact that Anthony Richardson was taken by Nick, that is who I maybe would have considered. That's probably who I would have gone with if Connor was gone. So the fact that he's gone makes that a little bit easier for me, and it gets me my starting 5 basically with a pretty balanced team. I can still go receiver next or running back next if I wanted for my other flex, or I can go with a onesie. So James Conner, super undervalued in the late 5th, in my opinion, and getting him as my running back 2 after locking up the wide receiver room is pretty solid. So Kincaid goes as figured. Aaron Jones was in consideration, but I think they're going to work in Ty Chandler maybe more than people are thinking. I liked him early in the offseason, and now I'm hearing more and more about him not being the bell cow. So Kittle, I'm scared on. Adunze, don't love because I don't want to trust a rookie quarterback, and also there's enough other good guys there, and I think Keenan still has 1 year left of I'm a target monster.
I know exactly where you're going.
Burrow's in consideration. Rashee Rice is not. Swift is not. Addison is not for me. Ingram is not for me. I'm between Montgomery and Terry McLaurin because I have Gibbs. That basically defaults the answer for me because I'm not taking both of those. So
exactly.
If I wasn't so confident on quarterback later, I would maybe grab Burrow here because dude's a stud. But I think Terry McLaurin I like better than all the young, unproven guys in that. We've got Addison, Reed, Odunze, and Rice. Like, I just don't trust any of them. And McLaurin's still the number one with possibly the best quarterback he's had in his career, which is weird to say, depending on how the rookie works out. But, like, he's had such bad quarterbacks, so I don't hate that. And now my starting flex positions are filled, so I just have quarterback and tight end, or I keep loading up. Montgomery and Swift both go right before Nick, which is good because he still needed running back. So getting those running backs gone for him is perfect. Kind of surprised he didn't go James Conner. Maybe he just doesn't like him, but more for position need. Does he double back to back on the onesies and get Kittle here? Does he take a?
I could see him going. Yeah, I was like, I don't know.
Can take a fourth receiver.
See him going Ingram over Kittle, Ramondre.
Oh, Reed.
Oh, Jaden Reed. Oh,
I might have gone Ramondre. Yeah, I kind of like that better.
I was like, yeah, I my pick there would have been Ramondre, honestly, but obviously went one right here before me, so that's unfortunate. Kind of crazy that
still Burrow's right there.
I know. I was thinking about Burrow here if I wanted to
attempt who takes a quarterback first out of us.
Yeah, that probably ultimately has to be the pick. I can't do Godwin obviously since I've got Mike Evans, and then dropping down to like Hollywood Brown.
I thought you were an Addison
Pollard. I am. I do like the Jordan Addison, but the inconsistency of what the volume is going to look like, even though it's going to be higher earlier on with Hawkinson out for so long and potentially legitimately the entire year. I don't hate that, but I will also not be surprised if he comes back to me. So kind of the drop from Burrow down to Dak Prescott and Kyler isn't bad. So I'll go with Burrow.
That's what I was going to ask.
But I don't love it.
Difference between Burrow and Dak for you? I mean, neither of them run. They both got weapons.
Not really. Not a huge difference.
Okay.
Burrow, Dak, and Kyler are kind of, if I'm looking at them quick, kind of really the last three that I feel super comfortable about. I'm a Jordan Love hater. I'm a Brock Purdy hater, and I know that. I don't really have reasons for it, but I'm like,
he's our QB1.
I know. I'm a true Dak Prescott hater. I don't understand. I've had him on enough dynasty teams that I just can't trust him. And I never will. He'll never be just like, I'm coming out of the draft and Dak, and I'm good with it.
There we go. Glick.
But if I came out with Kyler or Jordan Love as my only quarterback, I would be okay with it. Or Burrow, I'm okay with.
Glick makes another smart pick here. I like a lot of his picks because they're ones that I'm talking about as he does it. But Addison there is great to steal from Tyler. He's listening in. Odunze, Ingram, Rice, Dak goes. Glick back on. I'm finding, I mean, it changes like in other rounds, but in this like group of the late 6th to early 7th, I don't love a lot of the guys there. So I feel like if I was picking there, I would be reaching farther down the board. So I'm kind of liking, obviously ADP will change, but I'm kind of liking the later pick currently for this crop of people. Maybe not for like the first 4 rounds, but I would be passing on like a lot of those guys. Like
a lot of these.
I am not as much of a believer in Ridley because I think it's just going to share volume there, and I think Pollard still affects it. I guess I don't hate Najee there.
Maybe. Yeah.
Damn it, Glick.
Kyler, it's good for him. They could see kind of that run of, hey, this is the end of that tier of QB, so I'm probably going to get it now or never. And so we've routinely seen Kyler fall to like 8th and 9th rounds, which is crazy psycho to me. Yeah. For somebody who's never been worse than like QB 7, something crazy when he's had a full season. So
7 is my 7th round.
I don't really like anybody here. I mean, truly,
and because you already have your tight end locked up,
and because I already have my tight end locked up, so none of this is really helpful to me. I would probably just go
Ridley.
Biggest upside potential with Ridley is exactly where I'm at.
That was your guy.
I would go. Yeah, he is my guy. I've loved him since he was on the Falcons, but. Plus, he's a gambleaholic, much like myself.
Not in love with Mostert here, just from the reasons I talked about. Zamir White, I think, is too high currently. I think they're going to just be a gross, like 2 to 3-headed monster in Las Vegas that isn't going to score anyway. Bowers is a question mark that I think people will take higher than maybe they should because of Laporta breaking out last year. Hollywood, I don't know what's going to happen in that room, but I feel like every year we expect a Chiefs wide receiver to be good, and they're not. Godwin, them talking him moving back into the slot is very interesting. So, like, I think that could help value there.
I love that.
and he goes before me, so it doesn't fucking matter. I have 4 receivers and 2 running backs. If I take anything here, it's going to be running back over receiver, or I would go quarterback or tight ends. But quarterback, it's a ways down here, so it looks like I'm just punting it. You 3 already have quarterback, so I'm the only one without. I just don't know that I like Bowers, even though he'd be the starter, over filling up my depth here. So Chubb is great if he's healthy, but it's a scary question mark if he's really back or not. And it's the same for Javonte. I feel like we keep waiting for whether he's going to do anything or not. So honestly, for me, it's between Najee here or reaching down farther to someone like Jonathan Brooks and seeing what happens as a rookie kind of thing. Just because I could sit him for the first few weeks and not need him. And then when buys come around, maybe he's healthy by then. But I'm going to go Najee just because I can figure out what I want to do after these 4 picks here. So Chubb goes, which I don't think he actually will this early in real people drafts.
Yeah,
Hopkins wasn't interested in. Bowers, good. That takes the decision off my plate. Caleb Williams goes, I guess could have considered, but I don't trust him as my quarterback 1 versus just waiting. So now it's just, do I go tight end or another flex depth guy? I probably have Ferguson over Njoku here, and there's no other tight ends really within consideration. So that is likely my pick. Deontay interests me. Brooks, like I talked about, but now that I got 3 running backs, I feel a little better, even though I don't trust Najee really at all. Zach Moss, 2. And then beyond that, it's just a lot of like waiting. So because I'm not sold on anyone, I am going to go Ferguson just to lock up that tight end position finally. Being with Dak, he's really the second option after CD, so I don't hate that this late here. I'm probably one of the last teams to draft tight end, so is what it is at that value point. And now Nick's back on the board after Hollywood and Zamir, another crop of people that I'm not really interested in. Nick still needs tight end too, so he may go Njoku here or fully punt the position. Your boy Ladd, your other boy Javonte, your whole trade is right here.
I know, it's fabulous. I'm getting one of them, so it doesn't matter who.
He goes Zach Moss. Okay, I like that.
Nice. I don't mind that. For me, I can go pretty much any way that I want. I was like, I get 2 absolute stud running backs and a few receivers here. So,
what do you get the man that has it all?
I know, yeah, it's pretty tough. So, it's an interesting one for me. I just feel like the target potential for Ladd is going to be too insane. Like in playing in that division as well, there's kind of play the Chiefs a couple times a year, and they've got one of the easier schedules from what I've seen and looked at so far. And again, from the chemistry, it sounds like earlier in the year, it's pretty evident. So if in a full PPR league like this, where maybe he doesn't have the touchdown equity of some of these other guys, I think the target equity of either Ladd or Deontay here is absolutely great.
I do agree. And it's your 4th guy, so the upside swing of that. Javonte goes back to back with him. Does Glick have a tight end? Yes. No?
He's got Mark Andrews.
Yeah, that's right. He went early. So he's going Deontay or... Okay.
Ooh. Jalen. Okay.
I would have been tempted by Brooks there over Jalen personally, but also Jalen obviously has been playing way better than Najee has. I just kind of took Najee as a poor choice of ADP at that point. So Deontay is the only other one that really interests me there. So Brian Thomas and JSN going before his pick doesn't really hurt him. Can take an upside swing on a rookie like Keon Coleman. He could go down for the guy who I know you're going to take when you're up next. I wouldn't take Benson here, and that's a lot of tight ends and quarterbacks. So Keon Coleman. That's kind of the only one that really made sense when everything else is filled.
Yeah. And Jack obviously knows where I'm going with this one. I've been
Dallas Goedert.
Devin Singletary stands for my entire life and his entire career. This man has never finished worse than like running back 26. And I don't think he's ever been drafted above running back like 32. He's pretty crazy, and now he really has the keys to the kingdom for the Giants. That's not saying a whole lot, but in fantasy football, volume is king. And to get a starting running back here in the 9th round, just something that you have to absolutely take. So no question for me, if he fell to me in the 9th, I'd be taking Devin Singletary.
I do worry about your locker room because you have Saquon in there with him now, so they might not get along.
That is true. Yeah.
Nick has a bunch of quarterbacks and tight ends. He doesn't have a tight end yet. So, he's going Hawkinson. Okay. So obviously the question mark of us not knowing when he's going to come back has pushed his value down, but might work out. I mean, it's a tight end 1 that you're getting in the 9th round. If it works, you just might need to double up shortly here. I have the chance at quarterback. Purdy and Goff. God, it's literally our 2. I don't know who I would take one over the other. And then it pushes down a bit. So I think because the other 2 guys both have quarterback, I have no reason to take one here. So I'm just going to wait on that and then do another flex position since my tight end's done. So Jameson Williams, Tyjae Spears, I don't believe in. Brian Robinson is probably going to be the one above Eckler still. Gus Edwards is probably the only one that's actually healthy in the Chargers, with Dobbins not actually back yet. Don't love a lot of the other receivers. God, I would probably go Robinson just for the not exciting but like safe pick here. Just because I don't trust Edwards as much. Oh, they don't have a second quarterback.
The old double QB. Gotta love computers sometimes.
I guess it makes my decision easier, but I now have Goff or Herbert as basically the exact same person. So it's pick one or the other, who your favorite is. I am tempted, I'm going to be honest, with Jaden Daniels just because of the league breaking upside on it. And if you're going this late at quarterback, I'm likely taking another quarterback in a real draft anyways. But I think for the sake of it, I don't really have any. I mean, I do have Jahmyr Gibbs, so I don't know if you want the quarterback running back stack. But then again, I have Brian Robinson now too, so that goes out the window.
Doesn't really matter.
I guess I would. And I have Terry McLaurin. That decides it. I'm going Jaden Daniels for the stack of that.
There you go.
The running upside alone and then the stack with him plus Goff and Gibbs together is enough to push me away from the Lions. So, long story to get quarterbacks. There. Dalton Schultz, Jared Goff goes as a second quarterback again. Nick's on the board with everything filled, so I mean it's just bench at this point. I would maybe okay, there we go. Like the guy I was considering before.
Oh, I suppose that's me now.
That is you.
Yeah. So when it comes down to this, I mean they're all pretty much dart throws in my opinion. If I'm looking at running back, I could do somebody like a Zeke who is going to be back in a system that he knows and whatnot. That touchdown equity I think is still going to be there. Rico Dowdle, really the only competition. Not to say he didn't have explosive moments, but obviously they brought Zeke back for a reason. But again, you got to think like, hey, is he really going to get the volume? Then I got 2 studs and then Singletary. So it's like I'm taking a shot on Zeke or I'm taking a shot on like a Romeo Doubs or something like that, and Christian Watson gonna get hurt again, or Jaden Reed not continuing to keep up like he did last time. So for me, since I don't mind the receivers that I have, I'm gonna drop down a little bit and go Zeke. I don't love it, I don't hate it, but it's kind of filling it out. And if he's got enough touchdown equity and a high scoring offense, it could be somebody that you could throw in a flex spot every week.
Yeah, agreed. Glick being pretty balanced everywhere here. He's got 4 receivers and 3 running backs plus everything else. I mean, he could go either or. Maybe he goes the Corum route.
Could be.
Don't mind Cortland Sutton. Khalil Shakir in Buffalo could be interesting. Everybody.
Just Coleman though.
Yeah, it's true. Never mind. Everybody feels pretty much the same here. So I guess, Lockett. Yeah, just get the same thing as Singletary. He's the exact same type of player that just finishes better every year. Damn it, Glick.
Damn, Dubs, if he would have come back, would have been it too. Jerome Ford
I had Jerome Ford queued up.
Nice.
I think just not believing.
Romeo Doubs would have been mine there for sure. I can go with my other boy, which is pretty easy for me. I'm a pretty big Jacoby Myers guy. He was one of my guys pretty much every year. He seems to overcome all the time, and Devontae is always going to get his, but it seems like Jacoby just consistently gets targets, and especially in a full PPR, he's somebody who's again going to be that flex worthy guy who's going to get you 9 points a week and feel comfortable about it. Again, you don't want to have to start Jacoby Myers every single week, but him as your wide receiver 5, you got to feel okay with. So, and if I'm looking at other people, like Blake Corum does nothing for me, Chase Brown does nothing for me. Mike Williams could be a bet, but he's a big play guy, and again, we get his injured and whatnot. But you also can't hate having Aaron Rodgers slinging you the ball, but it's just a matter of, hey, are they both healthy? Do they have enough time to get on the same page? So I'll just take a little bit more of the known commodity in Jacoby Myers in a system that he already knows.
Yeah, I agree with that. Chase Brown goes next. Nick's up on the board. I'm currently not even sure who I like at this point, so I don't know who I'm going to take when he...
Yeah, it's not great.
This is one of those where I'm like, oh, God, if I didn't have a tight end yet, at least then I could just take a dart throw. But I don't really love any of the flex guys, so it's just depth at this point. Okay, I would have taken a shot on Blake Corum here just because I didn't like anybody else, but he goes right before me. Nick finally gets his tight end with Kmet. I don't hate that in the 11th round as his starting tight end. There's just a lot of mouths to feed in Chicago, so that kind of scares me. Not taking a quarterback, so it's Mike Williams, who's always hurt, Zach Charbonnet, who could be interesting in his next year.
Yeah, Nick went Mooney, teammate.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking right before. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Right. He already had Hawkinson. Still maybe need the cover, but
still, yeah.
On paper, it looks good for now in a starting lineup. So, God, I don't. Downs, I'm not going to take because I have Pittman. Jalen Wright, I don't believe will get worked in. Hubbard is going to be behind Brooks once he's healthy.
I mean, you just take the skill of Mike Williams at that point. And just
that's
say, hey, you got Aaron Rodgers thrown to you.
I don't need him because I've got 4 other receivers, but I'm just taking the upside on maybe he's healthy for once and he's going to be good when he is healthy. And then the only other one I have queued up here is rounding out my depth is taking Tyler's alter ego and going Rico Dowdle just on the chance that he's the guy in Dallas. I had him just figuring he was far enough down where I'd be okay. So I like him as a dart throw over any of these others because at least he was in the system last year with the current coaching system and Zeke is old and was bad in New England. So don't hate that for a pretty balanced team of quarterback or receivers and running backs.
Yeah.
Jalen Wright, Chuba Hubbard go. Nick's on his last pick here. Really, at this point, everybody can go anywhere, so it's probably just more depth. Maybe Josh Downs, J.K. Dobbins. Oh, there we go. See, he's back at tight end.
Get a tight end that actually is going to play.
Tyler Conklin for the Jets.
Yeah, and again, for somebody here, if I look at somebody with just draft pedigree and who's supposed to be good, for me, it'd have to be Jerry Jeudy here, just because looking at the other guys here, unproven Troy Franklin, Gabe Davis, is he really going to be different now that he's in Jacksonville? Rashid Shaheed, big play guy, J.K. Dobbins, 1-year deal worth $500,000. He's in a system that was the same as the Ravens, so he's going to get used to that, but is he really healthy? And then just look at the other one, Kendry Miller, Ty Chandler, Marshawn Lloyd, Joshua Palmer, Jahan Dotson. Jerry Jeudy at least has the best draft pedigree and the best ability coming out of Alabama of any of these guys in a new system. Maybe that changes scenery and being with a healthy Deshaun Watson. Amari's still going to be the number 1 there, no question. And Njoku probably the number 2, making Jeudy the number 3. But to get somebody like Jeudy in the 12th round for that upside swing, you can't hate it.
Of the few you mentioned, I don't hate Ty Chandler at that spot because I don't think Jones is going to get bell cow work anymore. I think we're going to continue to use him worked in a bit, and it's just going to be more of a running team with a rookie quarterback. And I also don't hate Josh Palmer, but obviously you're not taking him with Ladd McConkey. I just think Josh Palmer will probably be like what I talked about with Michael Wilson for Marvin Harrison starting out the year. Josh Palmer will be I've been here before, and I'm going to start out as the number 1 before it switches. So I like those for late. Glick's last pick, Brandon Cooks, love that value-wise. He has CeeDee Lamb, so I don't know if he was trying to go the Dallas receivers combo, but in the 12th round, Brandon Cooks as the number 2 wide receiver, number 3 behind what's his name, Ferguson.
Ferguson.
Don't hate that in that pass heavy approach, and then we round it out. So I'll post all of the teams somewhere for people to vote on just for fun and everything. But you can see Glick's and Nick's teams there. My starting lineup is Jaden Daniels at quarterback, so kind of taking the swing on the rookie. Jahmyr Gibbs and James Conner at running back. Devontae, Michael Pittman, Cooper Kupp, and Terry McLaurin as my receivers / flex, going wide receiver heavy in the full PPR, and then Jake Ferguson at tight end with a smattering of other players on my bench. So, Tyler?
Yeah, for me, I'm starting Joe Burrow, running backs, Bijan and Saquon, can't hate that. Wide receiver 1 and 2, Mike Evans and DK, again, can't hate that. Trey McBride at my tight end is always good. Flex spots are a little more questionable, certainly with Ridley and Ladd or Singletary probably mixing in, and then rounded out bench depth with Zeke Jacoby and Jerry Jeudy. So I think a couple swings that could have taken different earlier, going wide receiver over Bijan in the first round, maybe that looks a little bit better, but 2 anchor running backs of Bijan with his receiving capability and Saquon for that matter as well. I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, definitely. You can see, like, I think your starters are better, and then my depth is better just because you went tight end and quarterback earlier. So those are also better. So I'm hoping to make up the difference in the flex spots, but just different approaches. So let us know if you want to comment on which team's your favorite. That would be awesome. We can cover it next time. Otherwise, we'll try to do more mock drafts in the future. But that is all we have for today. So unless Tyler has anything, we can round it out here.
No, it was good. It was fun. We kept it to just about an hour. It was usually what we try to do our episodes. So it's fun to kind of feel like a normal back episode. So we know it's only June, but this is the fun thing. We get to come back and look at these mocks that we save and see what values change and what it looks like as we get closer to the season. So it'll probably be another month and change here before we do that with 4th of July and everything like that. We'll get to the tail end of July and when training camp and things like that start to open. August is when we'll certainly start hitting a little bit more, but we're still working on all of our rebrand. It turns out it takes time and things like that to make changes when I do them all myself. So we look forward to it. We'll get this posted out there. If you guys have any questions, comments, any segments you want to see from us, as always, just let us know. Hit that fun little subscribe button there. It always helps us out. Got some additional giveaways. Jack knows I'm a mini helmet guy, and he saw the stack that I have, and he can attest to some of the sick mini helmets that I got. So
I didn't even plan that with the jersey. Look at that.
Yeah. So there's one that I got him, and I've got about a dozen myself. So I'm gonna find 1 or 2 to do a giveaway, do something fun with it. So stay tuned as we get all of our rebrand. We'll do some giveaways to start the season off, and should be a fun one, Pod Squad.
Sweet. I got nothing else. So thanks, guys. Bye.
All right. Peace out.